Greetings, I'm Walter D. Donnie Kennedy, Chief of Heritage Operation for the National Sons of Confederate Veterans, and this is Commander's Comment for June 2019. I'm here with Commander-in-Chief Paul Grambling Jr. of the National Sons of Confederate Veterans, and we're going to talk about issues affecting the Sons of Confederate Veterans and the South in general. This will be a two-part program. The first section will be dealing with the mechanisms of the Sons of Confederate Veterans, some of the things that's going on in our organization itself right now. And the second part will be considering the neo-Marxist attack against traditional American values such as Robert E. Lee. So to get started with, Commander Grambling, it's good to have you with us again.
Hello, Donnie. It's good to be back.
Well, good. I understand there's a lot of things going on in the Sons of Confederate Veterans. I believe we've just elected or selected a new executive director. Could you tell us a little bit about what's going on there?
Yes, we hired a new executive director for Elm Springs, which is our headquarters in Columbia, Tennessee.
Yeah.
The prior executive director resigned at the end of last year, or end of October last year. So I put together a search committee of four gentlemen who made a request for all applicants for the executive director to send in resumes and what have you. And so applications were sent in, and up until February 15th, I believe.
Yeah.
And so they took all these men that submitted, and women, I believe there were some women that might have applied as well. But they went through the process of going through the resumes and interviewing them and everything that was involved with that. And just here recently, we hired a gentleman out of that group of men to serve as our next executive director.
Are we at liberty to tell anybody who he is at this point in time?
We can. Name's Adam Southern.
That's a good name.
What a name.
What a name for what an organization.
But Adam lives in Columbia, Tennessee, so he just so happens lives, where our headquarters is located. So he's a younger gentleman, younger than us.
Anybody younger
that could be a lot of people,
Kennedy,
I'm sure.
My twin brother.
but yeah, he's younger than us. He's full of energy, and we're looking for good things to come out of this.
One thing I want you to explain for our membership and for the general public too, the distinction between executive director of the Sons of Confederate Veterans and the position you hold as commander-in-chief of the Sons. What's the difference there?
Well,
what's going on there?
SCV is pretty much set up like a corporation, and the CIC, my position, is like the CEO of that corporation. And the GEC, which is the General Executive Council, they are what you would call the board of directors. The executive director, he lives and works there in Columbia, works at headquarters in Elm Springs, which is the house, the mansion that we own, and has been our headquarters since 1992. His job is to deal with the staff there at Elm Springs, and also he answers to the CIC and the GEC as far as his job and his duties. So he's more kind of like a management role, and takes care of that as well as taking care of the membership that we have.
Right.
Because you have membership and you have merchandise and everything that goes on there at Elm Springs. He's in charge of that.
Well, good. More or less, he works for the commander-in-chief and the GEC. This is a generalized statement now.
Exactly.
Whereas in your position, the commander-in-chief, you're hired by the membership.
I'm hired, elected by the membership for a 2-year term. It's like the president, the electorate, the citizens, elect them, and our membership elected me to do a job, which is why we're here now, to do that job. And so I answer solely to the membership.
Well, that's good. And there is a distinction there, and we need to keep that straight. All right, that's good for that. What about the museum? We have a beautiful museum project going on with the at national headquarters, and we've talked about each commander's comment. Can you bring us up to a little bit of speed on what's going on there at this point in time?
Museum's come along great. We've got a few up-to-date pictures of the museum. We are being told that the building will be completed 1st of December. They've actually given me a date of December 13th is at the
Wow.
latest, the building will be complete. It is my hopes, working with the new executive director and some people on my team is in charge of the artifacts and antiques that will be going in there and working with the staff at Elm Springs. It is my hopes that we will be in the museum and open for business sometime 1st of next year.
That sounds beautiful. And you talk about artifacts. What if someone has some artifacts that they'd like to donate or put on display? What's the process they would go about to start that?
Anyone that has any artifacts or something that they donate or want to put on loan to the museum, or they know someone that does, they can get a hold of Todd Owens, who is my historian in chief. He's my man in charge of the committee
And his name is on our national
website.
SCB
He's on the website as the
national.
historian in chief,
Right.
and they get a hold of Todd, and he will give them, he'll talk to them about what they can go, how they go about, donating items.
Good. When we get that museum built, I've been in the building several times. It's a huge place. Are there other functions other than just storing artifacts, or will there be other things that the building would be used for? Or?
Well, the museum itself, of course, will be a museum. It will also be and have an interpretation center, how we present, the truth of the war. Will also be fixed up, I'm sure, to bring the museum goer, bring them up to speed as far as what happened up until 1860 and 61,
Great.
through the war,
Yeah.
then after the war, Reconstruction into where we are today.
Yeah.
That will take part in the museum and
Correct.
displays itself. We'll also have a research library center,
Great.
archives. We'll have an outstanding gift shop there, and also that our staff, headquarters staff, will be housed there as well in the office buildings.
Well, that's great. In other words, it's not just going to be a dusty old museum where you
No.
see a few artifacts and that's it.
And this will also allow us to take Elm Springs, the mansion there,
Right.
and convert it back completely to 19th century,
Right.
to where we already do tours there, but
Right.
this will heighten the experience
Right.
to do the tours at Elm Springs, because everything will be original, back to where it was back then. But we have weddings,
Right.
receptions, all kinds of things that we can have there at Elm Springs once everything modern stuff is kind of moved out to the museum.
Well, that's great. That's going to be a wonderful situation there. Now, I do believe that the Sons of Confederate Veterans, we have our annual reunion coming up in July. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with that?
Well, our national reunion will be held in Mobile, Alabama, from July 10th through the 13th. It's kind of the time of the year on a national scale that all comrades can come together and be with people of like minds. A lot of things going on. Of course, we have our business sessions Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Right.
We have different tours that they have set up. The host has set up for different tours in the area. Like on Wednesday, I think Wednesday evening, there's a shrimp boil on the battleship there in the bay
Right.
there at
Alabama, I
Mobile.
believe. Yeah.
Of course, we've got the Heritage Luncheon with
Yeah.
Ron Kennedy will be speaking.
Who is that now? Do
I
know
believe
him?
I believe you've
I
told me in
might
the past it
recognize
was your twin brother, but you was the better looking one of the two.
And that would be correct.
Yeah, but
Absolutely. Yes.
Ron is be speaking
the
at the Heritage
yeah.
Luncheon. Of course, we had the awards luncheon on Friday,
Right.
and of course, it's the climax is the banquet on Saturday night.
Yeah.
For awards, awards banquet there in Saturday night with the dance.
Right.
Now it's different from the awards luncheon on Saturday night. The banquet, our two most prestigious awards are given at this banquet, which is the Robert E. Lee Award, which is the second highest award you can receive,
Right.
and the Jefferson Davis Award, and the Chalice, which is the highest award any SCV member can achieve. Those will be given out that night as well.
Well, good. Well, we all look forward to it, and I'm inviting everybody out there to come to the banquet, come to the reunion, and by all means, come hear that good-looking twin brother of mine pontificate on the cause of the South. And we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll be back with part 2 of June's Commander's Comment with Commander Paul Grambling Jr., and we'll be talking about the Sons of Confederate Veterans counterattack. We're actually involved in counterattacking our neo-Marxist enemies. You don't want to miss it, folks.